Great, Attention 101. So my name's David Henderson, and just a little bit about me. I'm a music, tech, internet business, attention geek consultant. Some of the startups that I've worked in and helped build, DoubleClick, started there in 1995, employee number 5, built their whole sales organization. Came here in 98, MatchLogic, did another startup in 2000 called SmartPoint. Doing some consulting now. Some of the companies I've been consulting with: Root Markets in New York, Seesaw Networks out in San Francisco, Vistrio here, database marketing company, and Equifax, database marketing company here. Also a blogger, and you can find my blog at www.dhenderson.com. There's a link to it there. I blog on attention. In fact, Dave Cohen, who's here tonight, just did a podcast on attention, and I'm in that podcast, and I get into some more detail about attention. I wanted to keep the attention conversation tonight at a very high level because I got 5 minutes and I get like 12 hours to prepare for this. So attention, what's the big deal? What's the big issue here around attention? What's the problem that we're dealing with here? You know, what's changed with media and advertising, and how's attention related to that, and how big an idea is this? So anybody suffering from this symptom here?
9,000.
Anybody? We got any RSS users here? Okay. Content overload, right? A symptom is usually something that is pointing to a disease, right? A bigger problem, right? So the symptom is my RSS aggregator. I aggregated a couple of feeds, and it's just running over, and I can't keep up, and I'll have all this information and anxiety. It's a bigger problem than just RSS, and it's a problem that's been building since the dawn of communications, right? So we started with cave drawings, in France, and now we've come to Web 2.0, right? We've gone through broadcasting in the 20s, cable TV, right? Now we got 500 channels, the internet in 94, and today Web 2.0, right? RSS, P2P, open content, user-generated content, right? So choice, in this world, choice is what's truly abundant. And what that does is it changes kind of what I call the fundamentals of media. And I call this kind of the new fundamentals. Media 1.0, we were looking at content that was scarce. It was hard and expensive to create, right? You had experts who created it. You had gatekeepers guarding distribution channels. All these aggregators guarding their distribution channels. And basically, you didn't have as much content, so the user sitting at the end there had an abundance of attention. They were looking for things to watch on TV. 1970, you had 3 TV stations, right? So you only had 3 choices. Today, you have limitless choices. So you move up to Media 2.0, and the fundamentals are different now, right? Because now content is abundant, right? It's available, it's easy to produce. It's easy to produce video, photos, audio, text. Distribution is open, right? RSS frees us from the gatekeepers, right? No more can they stop us from communicating to the world. You just need a blog, an RSS feed, and you can broadcast to the world. But what the problem now is scarcity of attention for the user, because what they have now is this tsunami of choice. What content? What am I going to watch tonight? How am I going to buy a car? There's 15 million things I have to research. Ever try to buy HD TV lately? I mean, you got to go on Google and research this for 2 or 3 weeks. Every decision is becoming a complex, information-driven decision. So what this does to the media world is it kind of changes the balance of power. Before, the balance of power was the producer sitting on top, right? And the consumer really kind of sitting there and having things done to them, right? We're going to put commercials in the content. You don't like it? Tough. There's only 3 choices, right? But today, the consumer can actually take control and say, hey, you know what? I don't like ads in that RSS feed, so I'm going to unsubscribe, right? The user is now in control. So the attention problem for kind of the stakeholders in the media distribution world here is consumers, publishers, marketers. The consumer's attention overloaded. Publishers and marketers are trying to market to a consumer that's totally overloaded. So these guys here, they send 3,000 messages a day, marketing messages a day to people. And guess what? Not a lot of that actually gets through. So it's a huge problem there. So attention flips the marketing model, right? Where the old world was about marketers riding along publishers' content to reach consumers, we flipped the model upside down. We got consumers up on top, choosing, filtering what they're going to let in, right? And it's a different game, right? Because the old game was show me the money. The marketer had the money, And everybody followed the money. Whatever they want to do, they want to sponsor the NFL halftime show. Their logo's there, right? The new world is about the consumer saying, wait a minute, you want to get through to me, you got to get through my filters, you know? So that's share my attention. You want to share my attention? There better be relevance, there better be value, right? And in the old world, it was about silos aggregating a subset of consumer data and trying to predict intent from that, right? The new world is about consumer aggregating their own attention, right? And the difference there is it's the complete picture of the consumer, right? For the first time, the consumer say, this is my data stream. Look at my data stream. Use my data stream, but give me value, give me relevance in return. So how big an idea is this? Well, to me, being a marketing guy, you know, a sales guy, it's a huge market because there's $300 billion spent in the US every year on advertising and direct marketing, right? And really today, the only kind of attention-driven advertising is really, when you think about it, is search marketing, right? Because that, the user declares their attention at the point of the search, right? So that's really the only advertising today that's actually utilizing attention data, like almost in real time, to target. It happens to be the most valuable advertising on the internet today, the most effective advertising on the internet today, and for the last 10 years, since the inception of the internet. But when you look at the whole pie, search is 1.1% of the total 300 billion. So that's the big opportunity. Attention has the potential to really change the marketing model. So once again, attention's a big deal. It solves the problem of consumer overload. And this is a problem that if you don't have it already, you're gonna get it because content is abundant and distribution is abundant. And what's changed? Well, we just talked about what's changed. And how big a deal is it? It's a huge deal. It's a $300 billion problem. So that's Attention 101, and I'm done. Hopefully I got in there with 5 minutes.
You did great.
All right.
Questions?
Sure.
So as a consumer, how do I aggregate my 3,900 RSS feeds along with thousands of other stuff? So you've outlined the problem. Where are you looking for solutions?
Well, these guys are the solution, right? Or trying to be the solution. And you know what, I did Attention 101 tonight, and I'm happy to come back and to get into more detail about how to solve the problem and how that will be solved, but it's hard to do in 5 minutes. So I'm happy to come back and do 102.
Sure.
But today what we have is something called Attention Trust. Attention Trust, what it does is it enables a tool you can download to your Firefox browser and allows you as a consumer to collect your clickstream data. It also sets up a policy, the policy on which that data can be used, shared with third parties. So we have the first baby step here into creating this marketplace, right? We've got a tool and we've got a policy. Now the next step is to build applications that leverage attention data. And that's what companies like Medium and Legit and Adaptive Blue are doing. They're starting to build these browser applications that run on attention data. So we're very early in this marketplace, and it's going to be the entrepreneurs here who figure out how to leverage that consumer data and create applications that give consumers a return on attention.
Let me add to that a little bit. We met with Steve Gilmore, who's one of the heads at Attention Trust. And one of the things that he posed that they're trying to push forward is you actually own your clickstream. So from a copyright perspective, it's yours. And you're loaning it to Google, right? Today, there's no policy there. Google just takes it and you have no actual rights. People don't think about, if I'm walking, great example, we're being videotaped in this room right now. Who owns that? Who can do things with it?
Did we talk about that?
There's another question back in the back? Good.
Well, I'm not sure, it might be the same thing, but
Sure.
I think the question, I'm trying to get my arms around it, is, you know, there's on one side, which is on the consumer side, I want to have the ability to control what I'm seeing, but the more important side is how do you enable the people who want to get you those messages to do so in an effective way that's relevant to you. Is that what you guys are talking about, is to enable the guys that are actually trying to deliver the message?
Right.
So that we can give them the tools to deliver things that we care about? Or vice versa?
Well, I mean, the deal is there's only 24 hours in the day, right? You get bombarded with advertising messages. Whether you like it or not today, they're targeting you, they're collecting your data, they're using it with your permission, they're using it without your permission. Of those 3,000 marketing messages that you see a day, how many do you actually look at? You know, not that many. So it's not working on that side. It's certainly not working on the consumer side. So what we're trying to do here is find a way to make it work for both sides, right? I mean, you've got
Sorry, go ahead. No,
You've got billions of unsold ad impressions on the internet, right? That people put in these ad networks and do lead gen on. That's a problem for publishers. Consumers are getting all these untargeted ads. You know, wouldn't it be, in a perfect world, it would be great if you could, you know, get that marketing message connected to the person and make it relevant. So that's what we're trying to get to. We've got a long way to go. But this is a new model. We're trying to build a new model based on the consumer in control.
Any other questions? Yeah?
Do you think those trust policies are important going forward, or have we kind of gotten over the hurdle of consumers and stop caring about it for Gmail and some of the other services that are out there? They've gone through that initial push of, hey, we own this stuff.
Well, the trust issue is a huge, it's a huge issue, right? And I think that's what Attention Trust is trying to. I mean, I've been in internet marketing since '95, and privacy's always been a really, really huge, sticky, hard issue to get around. And I think Attention Trust, really the first real, sincere attempt to try to really solve that problem in a real meaningful way, instead of having FTC meetings where we talk about these ridiculous privacy policies that basically say nothing. So it's trying to put the consumer in control of that data, and the consumer's got a better look at their data than Google does. Because Google only sees a subset of what you're doing.
Do you think consumers will really care about that, or are they more concerned?
Well, I think consumers will care about it if applications are developed on top of attention data that create utility for the user. I don't think marketing is going to be the answer here. I don't think people care enough about marketing where they're going to say, I'm going to change my behavior dramatically in order to get better marketing. But I think if there's an application that helps me manage my attention, helps me filter through all this content, all these messages coming to me, and I get utility out of that, well, then I'll change my behavior. So I think that's what needs to happen. Is we kind of got this OS going. We don't have Lotus 1, 2, 3 to run on it yet, and I think that's what Medium and Legit and Adaptive Blue are just starting to show for us.
I have one last question I want to pose. Actually, I don't know if you have an answer, but legally, any issues here that you can think of? Any interesting things to kind of prod folks to think about?
Well, I do more of the finance side than the IP side, but I was struck when you said that you own your clickstream. I'm not sure that's settled. I think I would be surprised if you couldn't determine that as a matter of contract. When you go to a particular site or use a particular browser. I'm not sure any of that is necessarily set in stone, but there's certainly going to be lots of issues that you're going to have to work out in whatever the business model is.
Excellent.
I'd like to just add real quick to that. I think, as Dave was saying, the issue is really there's never been a choice before. Right? People are accepting lack of privacy at this point because they have no other alternative. Right? The Wall Street Journal did an article a couple months ago that the reporter tried to go online for the entire day without revealing any personal information. He basically said he'd rather shoot himself in the head. Right? But once the consumer has a better choice, then what happens? If you have a choice to own your clickstream, or you have a choice for different privacy options, then it's a whole new playing field. But right now, there's no choice.
All right. Great.
Thank you.